Hey, everybody. Welcome to the live stream. Happy New Year to you. I appreciate you being here tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about goals and objectives and so forth. But if you're watching this on replay, fast forward about 10 minutes if you want to skip the countdown. Otherwise, enjoy the countdown and I'll see you in about 10 minutes.
Just buying that software isn't what makes the difference. You've got to learn to use that tool, just like you've got to learn to use your high-end Powermatic woodworking tools or Festool for Sedge out there.
So I think you got to kind of leverage all of it.
And I just realized this is a new camera. I didn't take off the protective plastic over it, so I don't know if that was blurry or not for you. Oops.
Oh, hey, look at that.
In your little intro, which was very well put together, as I was sitting backstage and you had all these little clips from your previous guests, there was lots of good information in there, but somebody mentioned, just finding that thing that you love and do the thing you love. Don't make things that you don't like making.
In terms of growing a business, especially a business where you make things, is make the things you want to sell. I want to say Brad Rodriguez said this many times a while back, where it's like, if you don't want to sell cutting boards, stop making cutting boards. If you want to sell tables, make some tables and sell them at a loss if you have to, just to get some tables out there you sold. You attract clients that you can show you've actually made a thing. If you're trying to sell couches, don't keep making coasters telling people you can make couches. Make some couches.
A lot of times, usually when people start out on YouTube or when they're building a YouTube channel, they'll feel like their energies, if it's a scale of 1 to 10, they'll feel like they're at like an 8 or a 9, and they'll be like, whoa! But then when they actually watch themselves on camera, it's actually more like a 2 or 3.
We do take sponsors, especially as a lot of the smaller channels. And there's two ways that they talk about sponsorship. Sponsorship is someone paying you to do something, and the other one is getting free tools and stuff.
Launch day is my favorite day. That is my favorite day of the week. I just absolutely love launching videos and getting the feedback. So yeah, that's most videos take 4 to 5 full days to make. And I would like to streamline that. I would like to put out more videos in a week.
It's really kind of sad because I didn't get involved even when he was doing the noodle boards. He pretty much did all that. I did everything in the house so that he could stay in the shop a lot.
I am a little conflicted, I think. It initially started off with just sharing like my sewing machines and sewing tips and stuff like that. And then it kind of morphed into sharing the Mastering Mayhem merch items that I was making. And then along the way, I kind of shared some DeWalt tool and obsessions that I've had.
Hats off to Ira. I mean, I can't imagine doing it with small kids. That's a lot of work.
Well, this is a little chaotic, so.
My part really didn't start until Live Edge started. When we started Live Edge, I don't know, I felt different about everything. It felt real to me. I think everything started feeling real to him, after the first few months because he was in the shop. It didn't really feel real to me until Live Edge started. And now I see this as my future too. I don't think I'll be a teacher much longer.
Because I wasn't quite niched enough, but I think because my channel name is I Don't Even Work Here, I think I'm just going to roll with.
I'm going to put out some shorts for stage.
One thing I'm good at probably more than anything else is business and understanding the way businesses work and how to run a business. And I always come at from very much the Moneyball approach. I don't want to hit home runs. I just want to get on base and get on base and get on base.
And I think it's easier for people to look at my story, for example, or anybody like in a similar story and think that was an easy decision. And I can't state how much that was a very hard decision for both my wife and I.
I like the premise of doing a tool review, comparing two tools, and especially if they are popular tools.
You can make the life you want to, you can make the business you want to, whatever it is you want to make.
It wasn't like YouTube's good and this and that. Like I was still pretty new to YouTube and didn't know that was sustainable long term, and so it was a gamble. And I'd worked for a long time to get in the position I was at, and it was a very, very hard decision to basically give that up for potentially the rest of my life.
I never even considered the second channel. I just think all of my content needs to go where I am.
It's a lot of risk and fear, but moving through those deliberately.
So there's a system to it, and you follow that system.
So what have you learned and done to try to change? And so that's the thing I always do is it's a continuous process of evolution.
Scheduling and trying to edit and get a video out, like it's really hard to follow exactly. If you do that and do it consistently, it'll generate views.
Interesting. A lot of times you might see channels or businesses that are frustrated because they're not growing, and you look and you realize that for years or dozens of iterations, you look at the most recent and you go back a few years or a few dozen iterations and there's zero change.
I'd like to see channels evolve into more of like a channel, like we're traditional like TV channel, where you have a channel, but there's different shows within that channel. And you could have the segment for your shorts or your live streams and your longs, all these different things, and people can kind of just pick and choose what they want to watch.
And my goal isn't to get the most views on YouTube. My goal is to provide confidence, inspiration, and knowledge through entertaining and engaging content. So
what's the next step? What is the next thing? What's going to get you to that next place?
You got to get them to click. You got to get them to watch. I'm terrible at thumbnails. I hate doing them. I would stress so bad over doing them. I've actually hired somebody else to do them now. That's why they look different. I'm not doing them anymore. I took that out of my hands, and I'm stress-free on that part.
Another thing is also onboarding people that are better than me at something. So I have an editor I've been working with for about 2 years now.
One day it just kind of hit me that, okay, I watch a lot of these videos and I obviously find value in them. Why can I not be the person on the other side of the camera, right? Providing the content and the information.
With me being a business-minded individual and trying to make sure that I'm providing for my family, but also always growing.
Our audience smells authenticity, and whether or not you're enjoying what you do very easy.
I'll always be that individual that loves YouTube, that always wants to do extremely detailed videos on how to build.
I feel like the biggest challenge is probably getting yelled at to put on protective.
I'm still focused on my woodworking. I'm focused on trying to get better. I just want to try new things and break barriers and just be the best woodworker I can be, and then document that. I just don't really have the time or desire to really become a student of YouTube. So I'm always playing catch up. I'm always just doing the best I can to get the most out of what we're doing, but I am no student of YouTube, that's for sure.
A good plan of attack is to create a channel on YouTube or an account on YouTube that you don't have any ties to. You've never watched anything on there, and just start watching content you're interested in on that channel. Don't watch the news, or don't click off and start watching, the latest episode or whatever. Just use that account strictly for that, and that'll kind of start drumming up what's being surfaced to people. And then from there, you can kind of...
as far as equipment goes, and I say this adamantly all the time, there is nothing I've ever made that I couldn't make by hand. And I have a skill set that I've developed that I could make it by hand. Does having a CNC make it faster? You bet it does.
The big change that I've seen is that people have gotten even shorter attention spans than normal. So if you are going to start a YouTube channel and you're going to start recording yourself working, keep the pace really, really fast. People get bored super quick, and when they get bored, they either start tapping those arrow keys to speed through the video, or else they'll just drag the slider across the screen so that they can speed through and skip to the end and see what you've built. But if you want to engage them throughout the whole video, you've got to keep the pace really, really fast.
Basically structure your channel so that you generate more views. They watch one video, they're going to watch the next, the next, the next. If you look, and you can tell the difference I can see it in my analytics. I can see it in the way my channel's structured.
The first thing that I would recommend to anybody, and this of course applies to any niche that you're looking to start a channel for, is before you even take the first steps in terms of researching and all that, which we'll talk about in a second, I would have a really honest conversation with yourself about what you're looking to get out of the channel and what your expectations are.
As a rule of thumb, post-production takes 6 times recorded footage length. Not shoot time, but recorded footage length. So if you record a 5-minute clip, it's going to take you a minimum of 30 minutes to edit that 5-minute clip, even if you only edit down into 30 seconds, because you have to watch it, then you make some notes, and then you watch it again, you make some cuts, and you watch it again, and then when it fits into the timeline, by a rule, you're going to see that same clip roughly 6 times.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
Happy New Year! Great to have you here. I appreciate you showing up. On this live stream, we'll talk about goals and targets, what I consider to be the difference, and we'll talk about, how you might be looking at that, setting personal goals or so forth. But I'm super glad to have you here. Want to remind you, the chat is where it's at. That's where you can really enjoy these live streams, is chatting it up, talking to each other. Jared over there at the Dad Cave is saying Happy New Year. So Happy New Year to you, sir. And if you have a milestone, please put an M at the beginning of your chat comment so we can celebrate with you. And that's any kind of milestone. You survived 2022. Congratulations. Also, if you have any questions, please put a Q at the beginning of your chat comment, and I'll try to get the questions answered. Tonight, you're stuck with just me. I don't have a guest, but I promise we are getting some guests lined up for the near future, some exciting guests that I believe you're going to enjoy. Tonight's live stream will not be our longest, but that's okay. Let's share a screen, and we will get going from here. So let's talk about goals and what I mean by goals and what is meant by targets. Because the language for goals is always seems different, no matter what organization you may work for. They may treat goals differently, and there's certain ways that I have seen in the past that are very effective in setting goals and reaching goals, and we'll talk about that in short. Let's talk about what a goal is. A goal is defined as the object of a person's ambition or effort, an aim or desired result. So basically, whatever you want to accomplish, whether that accomplishment be in your business, like if you have a woodworking business on the side, maybe you're setting goals for that right now. Maybe you have a maker business and you make a combination of things out of metalwork and wood, whatever the case may be. Or you have a YouTube channel. Maybe you have goals to set for that YouTube channel. And we're talking about it at the beginning of the year, but New Year resolutions are things that fail by the end of January. Goals are typically longer term. They might be 6 months or a year, something like that. And your goals align with your values and where you want to see growth and how you're going to measure accomplishment. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is targets. Now, targets are benchmarks that set up a clear course of action. So if your goal is, say, by the end of 2023, I want to accomplish whatever, XYZ. I want to accomplish that by the end of 2023. And you've done your research. You know your business or your personal life better than anyone else. And you know what is achievable and what is a stretch. And you have set a goal for that time period. Well, the targets are the mediation steps between where you are now and reaching that goal. So targets are steps along the way. Now, in my mind, goals sometimes include things that can be out of your control. So you may have a goal. I'm going to make $1 million selling wooden crosses this year. And you may have a solid plan on how you're going to do that. But there are certain things that are out of your control. The economy overall could fail up under us. The market for crosses could go down. Things that are not within your direct control. Targets should be within your control. So if you're going to sell 100,000 crosses, wooden crosses this year, you can make a step to say, I need to make 80,000 of those crosses in January so that I can be on pace by the end of the year to make my goal. So these steps, targets, are something completely within your control, something that you, if you take the time and effort, can accomplish. So that's how we're going to define goals and targets. Let's check the comments here. The Dad Cave, of course, said, Happy New Year. Alien Leader says, hope everyone has a safe and happy New Year. May 2023 be blessed. May 2023 be blessed for you all. Thank you, Alien Leader. Appreciate that. 413 Furniture Builds says, hello from Alabama. Happy New Year. And New England Dronalist says, hello, everyone. If you like drone videos, go check out New England Dronalist. Doing some great work over there. If you like lighthouses, some just beautiful lighthouses that he has videos on. Very, very, very nice. So whenever we are talking about goals and targets, whether you're setting goals or setting targets, there's some planning that needs to go on ahead of time. You need to know what is available to you, what capital you have, what time you have, what all the factors of your business or personal life as you set those goals so that you can be prepared for them. Anytime we talk about setting goals, we typically hear the acronym SMART. SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. What do we mean by specific? Well, anytime you set a goal, it should be specific. What are you going to accomplish? Vague goals are not helpful to you. To say it's my goal to be happier this year. Well, that's kind of vague. It's not really definable. It's not under, like the next one, measurable. If you can't measure it, then how will you determine your success? So if you say, I want to make more money with my side business this year, well, that's great. But if you don't set a measurement, then what all you're saying is, I want to make one more penny on my side business this year. And that may be your goal, but if it is, then you should say, I want to make one more penny this year than I made last year. And that would be your goal, because you have defined something specific and you've given it a measurement, and you know how to measure your success. And all these things are very important. Is it achievable? So I could set a goal and say, this year, I'm going to become the richest man in the world by at least $1. I'm going to have $1 more than anyone else in the world. Well, with my skill set and what is available to me and the time I have, is that achievable? Is it doable? Or is it a dream? If it's just a dream, let it be a dream. Nothing wrong with dreams, but it's not really a goal. Relevant. Is your goal relevant? Meaning, does it align with, and I've left this as ... because it can really be individualized. Does it align with your values? So if you say, I'm going to share the Bible with 10 people this year. I'm going to give away 10 Bibles. Well, that is a defined number of Bibles. It is so it is measurable. You will know if you can measure it. Does it align with your values? Is that important to you to be able to hand out those Bibles? And what benefit is it going to be to you? Is it relevant to supporting your family? Is that one of your values, to be able to provide your family a better living? Is it relevant to what your individual values are? If your value is that you enjoy sharing your knowledge about woodworking or about YouTube or about any topic, would that be relevant? Would the goal you're setting be relevant to that value? Is it relevant to you personally or relative to your family's goals or your family's values? What about the goal is important to you? And is it time bound? Meaning, whenever you're setting a goal, are you putting a fixed length of time on it? So I want my channel to be monetized so that I'm making money off of AdSense. You have to watch the ads whenever you're joining the live stream. So wouldn't it be nice to have some income come this way so we could do things like we've discussed before, giveaways and so forth. So if those things are important, then I should put goals that are specific and around those objectives, and have a time frame. I want to be monetized by October. I want to be monetized by the end of the year. What is my time frame? And then I have to go back and double check each one of these other characteristics. Is it specific enough? Is it measurable? Is it achievable? Is it relevant? And of course, we're putting a time around it. You really have to know your business or your hobby to set your goals. Here's some examples, some bad examples here. I'll start out with some bad examples about goals. As a goal, if I say, my goal is to make more money. Well, just like before, is that measurable? Well, yeah, but more compared to what? Compared to 2022? So I'd be happy if I made 1 penny more than I made in 2022. Is it does it have a time on it? No. There is no, it's not time bound. So I say I want to make more money. Well, by when? So is it going to be in the first 6 months of 2023, the entirety of 2023? Or is it okay if I make more money, but that's not until 2030? Whenever, I'm 8 years older, and so forth. And targets that along with that, work harder. So does work harder necessarily lead to making more money? Well, no, I could agree with my employer to work just as hard as I did last year. I could work harder than I did last year, but for the same amount of money. So not a great example of goals and targets. Mighty Sawdust just joined. I see Ron's Woodshack joined, and Alien Leader says wants to attend at least one turning class, but try to get in two. Alien Leader, I'm assuming that means in 2023. That's one of your goals, getting in one turning class. And I don't know what you want to do in that class. Do you want to turn a bowl? Do you want to turn a pen? Do you have that kind of specifics yet, or are you just turning in general? So I'd like to see your comments on that. I was at Man Tool and Supply, which is a tool and supply store in Columbia, South Carolina. I was in there the other day, and they were telling me about their turning class. They said, you should come if you're interested in turning. Before you buy any equipment for turning, we suggest you take one of our classes. And in one of our classes, you will either turn a bowl or turn a pen, a wooden pen, and you'll get to take that with you. So the least you'll get out of it is either a bowl or a pen, And at that point, you might know, is this something I want to explore further, that I really want to get into turning and spend thousands of dollars on equipment? Or are you going to be satisfied and say, I'm good. I'm good. I don't want that as a goal anymore. That was nice. Glad I did it. But it's done. Thank you, Alien Leader. Here's another bad example. Be a better woodworker. Well, we would all like to be better at what we're doing, but being a better woodworker is more of a wish. It's a dream. It's a thought. It's not really a good concrete goal. It's not specific enough. It does not time bound, and it has no. The targets here have no clear path. Learn more about woodworking. Okay, it would be better to say, I would like to be able to produce a certain type of furniture. And to do that, in January, I'm going to take a class on wood turning so I can make the spindles myself. In February, I'm going to go to the local vocational center and take a class on different types of joinery, step by step to reach a goal. So I can say, I want to be able to make a certain chair by the end of the year, and I would have that defined. I'd have a time period. I would know what I was going to accomplish, and then I would set up the steps so that I can progress during that time period towards that goal. Those would be my intermediate targets. And if I meet those targets and can stay on course, then I might be able to make my goal. Alien Leader says there's a beginner class at Woodcraft where they do basics and you complete a pen or a bowl. If I can get that second is more in-depth class on different pages. There you go. Awesome. Mighty Sawdust says, one goal for the year is basically trying out new projects that either let you use new materials that you haven't used and also introduce a tool that lets you expand your skills. Okay. And Mighty Sawdust, all I would challenge you with is, can you go ahead and define what those projects are? Can you set a deadline to when you want to have those done? And then set up the target steps to get there between here and then. So within 6 months, you want to try whatever that new project is. And you set yourself a time limit. And then, and you know specifically what you're going to make. Then you can set up the intermittent steps, the targets, to get you from where you are now to completing that goal. Let's see, we have a question from 413 Furniture Builds. Going to change pretty much all of my shop, going to do more on the woodworking side. I have not on any videos yet. My question is it okay to change my YouTube name? Well, they just rolled out, somebody can help me out, the short names for the channels. They just rolled that out where you could change those, and I'll have to do some research. I think I think it is possible to change your YouTube name. I'll try to include that in one of our next videos. My Sawdust says he's already started crafts and epoxy. That's awesome. Get another bad example. Become a better YouTuber. And the target being get more views on YouTube. Well, or on my videos. Those are great dreams, not great defined goals. Becoming a better YouTuber is a vague, open-ended wish, and it really depends on what you consider to be a better YouTuber, and you can define once you study it out yourself, you can define exactly what aspects you want to improve, and those might be part of your targets, or it might be the end goal. You'll have to define. Let's look at something I consider to be a better example. Here's a goal where the gross sales revenue by 12% in 2023. So this is a good goal because I'm assuming we're talking about whatever your business is, a woodworking business or whatever it is, and you know what your revenue was in 2022, and you want to increase that by 12%. You have defined an amount that you have increased it by. Does it have to be a percentage? No, you could say, I want to increase revenue by $5,000. Whatever, however you feel is achievable and it's measurable, and you're putting a time-bound limit on it, and one target to help you get to that 12% for the whole year is you may look at increasing your January sales revenue by 30% year over year, meaning last January's you saw it was weak and you think that you can push to increase that year over year by 30% for the month of January. And if you do that, then you feel that will put you on track for the rest of the year to increase by 12% overall. These are just made up numbers, obviously. But this could hopefully get the message across. If you can set solid goals, then the targets, which are under your control, or at least more under your control, are step by step. So in January, you want to try to increase that sales by 30%. So you could break that target down into sub targets and determine how you're going to do that. Okay, so you being the business owner, you know your business, and you know that last January you were not in taking things to the market sale. You were not taking things to an open flea market. You were not putting things on Facebook Marketplace. You were not putting things on your Etsy store, whatever the case may be. So you may have a solid plan on how you're going to increase your sales. I would define each one of those, and so that you're clear about what you need to accomplish during the month of January. Here's another example I think is better than the first ones. Become monetized on YouTube in 2023. So this might be something I would set as a goal. I know to be monetized, I need 4,000 watch hours within a 12-month period of time and 1,000 subscribers. I am not in full control over either one of those. I could put out a great product here every week and still not reach 4,000 watch hours during a year, or I won't reach that 1,000 subscriber mark because it doesn't attract the right audience. But what things are under my control? Here's my targets. So, and one of my targets might be to have 13 live streams during the first 3 months of the year, and to release 17 additional videos during that time. So I didn't say it had to be 17 full-length videos. Maybe I'll release some shorts. Maybe I'll take some clips of these videos and make a separate, of these live streams, and make separate videos out of them and release them. And so these are things under my control that I could do to help me reach the overall goal. So hopefully this is a topic that interests you this time of year. I hope that you're considering setting goals if that's something you want to do. If you want to achieve something during a certain time period, first of the year is the natural point where a lot of people do it, but you can set goals at any point. And the great thing about setting goals is goals for your business, or at work or in your personal life, is that periodic review of your goals. How am I progressing towards the goals that I set? What if I achieve the goal early? Does that mean that I shouldn't continue to push forward? Or should I be reevaluating my goals and adjusting them? So if something catastrophic happens, if the economy takes a downturn during the first 2 quarters of the year, then it may impact your goal that you have set for 2023. That's okay. It's okay to reevaluate where you are on your goals and adjust your goals. Who's keeping you accountable? This is not at work where they're setting goals to pay you incentive off of. This is what you're pushing forward to have a goal in life. And if the good Lord wants it to happen, or if things work out in your favor, you can reach these goals. But if you need to reevaluate a goal after a month, after 3 months, after 6 months, do it. Nobody's holding you to the fire. That your goal may be too easy. You may need to reevaluate and make it more of a stretch for you. Your goal may have become impossible because of something out of your control. That's okay. We can reevaluate. We can adjust our goals and move on. I think having goals in your personal life work the same way. And sometimes we set ourselves up for failure unknowingly. We look at what's coming up in the future and we say, this is where I want to be in 6 months. Well, if it doesn't work out in the first few months, there's no reason to get discouraged. Regroup, readjust, and push forward. We can be successful in different ways, and we can define success based on where we are in life, where we are mentally, where we are spiritually, and we can regroup, get the support we need, and get the knowledge we need, and we can push forward and we can find success. It may not be at the level we initially set out to. I don't know how many of you thought whenever you were a teenager, by the time I'm 30, I'm going to be a millionaire. That may or may not have worked out for you. Does that mean you should give up on progressing in life in your 20s or 30s? No, you regroup and you reevaluate. Goals help us be centered and help us have a clear path forward. And I think goals are a great thing. Monty Sawdust says one goal for the year is basically trying out new projects that either let you. Okay, I read that one. I'm sorry. Already started. Fantastic. Let's see. We got a hello from West Virginia. Hello, sir. Great to see you. Appalachian Heritage Woodshop. One of our great former guests. Woodcraft 716. Mike says, hello, guys. A little late, but I'm here. I hope everyone is having a great new year. Hope you are as well. I hope you're thawing out at a rate that your streams and rivers can handle the runoff of that snow. I know that was a great amount of snow up in the Buffalo area, and the meltdown afterward would have a large effect on the neighboring areas as well. Miney Sawdust says it was good. Finishing upgrading my ultimate workbench, adding the router lift for the Bosch router I picked up earlier when it was on sale. Game changer in the 48 hours using it. Awesome. That's sweet. Okay. Yeah. So let's see. Miney Sawdust says, yes, I was filming during that process. Not sure when I'll get it out. Got to make some stuff for Saturday craft show. See, going to those craft shows, making that business grow, getting the word out about what you can make and making projects to sell there. Dusty Trails Workshop says, Appears we have another on the way. Appears you have another on the way. Am I understanding that? Did I miss something, or is this a congratulations? That is awesome. Congratulations to you, and a happy new year, and blessings on that front. Let me get rid of that banner. All right. I just want to let you know, I told you this would be a short one. We are working on guests coming up. Right now, I am in communication with the owners of MWA Woodworks. Matt over there is working with me on a date to be on the live stream. If you haven't checked it out, go check out MWA Woodworks. Newton Makes is going to come on. We're just trying to get to the right date that works in his schedule so that he can be a guest here. And I think that's going to be a real fun one. I really like his channel and the boxes he makes and so forth. And Woodworks Drew is going to be on later this month, and I think it's on the 19th. I'm sorry, maybe the 16th. I'll double check that, but later this month he's going to be on. So looking forward to that. And like always, I appreciate having you here. We continue to try to make appears we have another one on the way. Storm. Okay. I thought maybe you were having a baby. So my bad. Okay, another storm's on the way. A different kind of baby, I guess. All right. Well, I take back my congratulations on the storm. So I hope you have a safe time and you can survive the storms. It's been a rough few weeks as storms have come through different parts of the country. And I know I've had two pipes burst in my house. And, it's South Carolina. We're just not used to the cold. We don't build the houses to sustain those really low temperatures, which many of you wouldn't even consider that low. Oh, you're welcome, Mike. I appreciate that. I hope everyone has a happy new year. Stick with us. We're going to have more great guests in the near future, and we are, as always, going to try to make Monday nights great. And as for this one, bless you. But I hear my wife calling. I got to go.
And I think it's easier for people to look at my story, for example, or anybody like in a similar story, and think that was an easy decision. And I can't state how much that was a very hard decision for both my wife and I.
I still do some from time to time now.
Okay. And what led you from that into video creation on YouTube?
Boredom.
It wasn't like YouTube's good and this and that. Like I was still pretty new to YouTube and didn't know that was sustainable long term, and so it was a gamble. And I'd worked for a long time to get in the position I was at, and it was a very, very hard decision to basically give that up for potentially the rest of my life.
It's really kind of sad because I didn't get involved even when he was doing the noodle boards. He pretty much did all that. I did everything in the house so that he could stay in the shop a lot.
I am a little conflicted, I think. It initially started off with just sharing like my sewing machines and sewing tips and stuff like that. And then it kind of morphed into sharing the Mastering Mayhem merch items that I was making. And then along the way, I kind of shared some DeWalt tool and obsessions that I've had.
Hats off to Ira. I mean, I can't imagine doing it with small kids. That's a lot of work.
Well, this is a little chaotic, so.
My part really didn't start until Live Edge started. When we started Live Edge, I don't know, I felt different about everything. It felt real to me. I think everything started feeling real to him, you know, after the first few months because he was in the shop. It didn't really feel real to me until Live Edge started. And now I see this as my future too. I don't think I'll be a teacher much longer.
Because I wasn't quite niched enough. But I think because my channel name is I Don't Even Work Here, I think I'm just going to roll with.
I'm going to put out some shorts for staging. Staging is simply where you make the piece of furniture or the item, whatever it is, if it's, you know, wall decor, whatever it is that you're making. It's just where you simply make it look like it belongs in a home.
I never even considered the second channel. I just think that all of my content needs to go where I am.
Mostly. I was living in Charleston. This was back in, we're talking 2013, March 19th, 2013 was when I posted my very first video. And I had talked to a lot of people in the area trying to find a woodworkers group, any, you know, people that were building stuff. Didn't even have to be woodworking, just there just wasn't much of it. So a friend of mine suggested making videos on YouTube to reach out to other, you know, meet other woodworkers, reach out to other people who were building things. And so I started checking it out, and that was really cool. I saw, you know, back then it was Steve Ramsey, Mark Spagnolo, Lainey Shaughnessy, and of course Matt's Basement Workshop. And they were kind of, those are really the four guys. I call them the four fathers. They're the four guys that really started the woodworking DIY thing on YouTube. Those were the guys that started it all. And then there was Matthias Wandel and John Heinz came along. And about the same time, Jimmy DiResta had started his thing, Bob Claggett, and I started about the same time, roughly within a year span there. We all started right around the same time. And it was just fun and exciting. I put a video up. It was the worst video that's ever been posted to YouTube. If you're hard on your videos, go check out my very first video ever. You won't feel so bad, I promise. But people commented, you know, and I was interacting with them. And I took like another 2 months and I put up another video, and it happened again. People were, you know, commenting and talking, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And between at those points, I was watching a lot of YouTube. It was ridiculous. I had done a lot of fishing because I had a lot of free time. So I've been fishing and watching YouTube videos. And I kind of saw that there was this gap in the market of things that, you know, just these in the industrial side of making or furniture or other things, you tend to see a lot of things that you don't see in the DIY side. And there's a lot of adaptations that I saw that were possible. So I took a lot of my knowledge from that side of the world and kind of adapted it to the DIY and just started doing a lot of crazy and wild things that people hadn't seen before on equipment that wasn't designed for it, but it works. And, you know, I got a lot of people saying that's not safe, that kind of, and they don't really understand. They didn't have a good grasp on the physics of what I was doing.
I've had them different times throughout the course of 14 years for different projects and different things that I'm working on. Right now, the team members behind the scenes all have to do with my online courses, but everything else, as far as what I do for my channel, it's just all me.
Doing the research is not necessarily going to be the fun part, right? And we had Mr. King on here a couple of weeks ago. He was talking about the research he did before he released a single YouTube short. Well, the research he did led him to putting together a video less than a minute, but there was many, many hours of research before that, but it led to 5 million views. So research can be very important. This is counterintuitive to a lot of the suggestion out there on YouTube where everybody says, just hit record. Just go out in the garage and hit record. And your viewpoint seems to be different than that. What do you say to those people that say, just hit record?
I'm glad you brought it up, RT. There's a lot of, I call them talking points that have manifested themselves for whatever reason. In the how to grow space, the just hit record is probably one of the ones that drives me the most insane. I mean, you can go out and just hit record, but again, set your expectations for what you think the output and the end result is going to be. you get out of things what you put into them. And you may get lucky and you might catch a unicorn, but I'm going to bet 9 times out of 10, if you just go out and you hit record, you don't do any research, you don't have a plan, you don't have a rough script, you don't have a target audience, you don't have value that you're looking to provide. Again, I just think you're setting yourself up for unneeded frustration when a little prep and work up front can pay extreme dividends in the end. And you don't get a do-over when you post the video. Once it goes out into the interwebs, it's done. And you can't go back and redo the same topic right away because then you look like a goof.
Authenticity is something that I strive for all the time. I always try to just be myself. But everybody always says that. They always say, well, when you're on camera, just be yourself. But as soon as the camera goes on, you're never really yourself because you're always aware of the image that you're projecting, and then you're going to refine that further when you're editing it. At best, I think most of us are only, at best, maybe 80 to 90% ourselves. There's always that part that's carefully curated.
Am inspired by this guy. It's a little not fair because he does have a bigger, larger channel. But he has a smaller woodworking channel that's done pretty well this past year as well as in 2020. And his name is Robert Dunn. His channel is called Underdone, and he's hilarious. I think he is one of the best people in front of a camera in our space. His bigger channel is a car channel. I'm not going to kind of focus on that. But Underdone, he has made a handful of videos this past year. Not nearly as many as he made in 2020, but he still racked in quite a few views. Especially, he had some videos over 100,000, some over 500,000. And what I really want to emphasize with Robert Dunn, even if you watch his Aging Wheels channel or Underdone, his woodworking channel, is his confidence, relaxation, and charisma. And it might come naturally to him, but I believe that everyone can work on charisma, and they can look at someone like Robert Dunn and get inspired how to...
And as far as working to become more natural on camera, that's just time. Just keep doing it. The more you do it, the more comfortable you get at it. And I do think it's important to, as much as I'm not really a fan of saying having the avatar behind the camera, I do think it helps to imagine that you're actually talking to somebody who will be watching the video. Sometimes it's easy to forget that you see numbers of people watching, but you forget that these are actual people watching your video on their phone or on their TV or wherever. And I think it's important to keep that in mind.